Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back on another review. This time I saw Guns, Girls, and Gambling. This was a request from someone in my comments. I was like, oh, it's already watched, so I might as well watch it. This is an action comedy film directed by Michael Winnick from 2012. Readjust there. And oh, Christian Slater, uh, Helena Matson, Dane Cook, Gary Oldman, Megan Park, Powers Booth, Sam Trammell, Chris Kattan, Jeff Fahey, Tony Cox, and Anthony Brandon. In this film, the story throws Elvis impersonators, Indians, modern cowboys, a 6 foot tall blonde assassin, a frat boy, a corrupt sheriff, and a prostitute into a chase for a priceless American Indian artifact stolen during a poker game at an Indian casino. So, what did I think of Guns, Girls, and Gambling? Well, I hope this doesn't disappoint the person that had that recommendation, but I wasn't much a fan of it. I think it has a cool idea, but I don't think it does it well. I don't think it uses a lot of its cast to their best. Like, I don't think it uses the cast's best qualities for the most part, and a lot of the names are kind of just, oh, look, this person. So, yeah, kind of a bomb for me. There are some things I liked about it legitimately, and I'll get to that. But let me get to the cast. Christian Slater plays John Smith. He's a normal guy, kind of roped into this whole situation. Christian Slater is an actor that I quite love. Heathers, he was in Interview with the Vampire, True Romance, I love. Uh, uh, Broken Arrow, underrated film. Uh, he was all right in Freelance, which I recently saw. Um, but yeah, very talented actor and a lot of really cool stuff. Uh, Here he does a good job. I think he's one of the highlights. Even when he's not really doing much in the plot, he's still entertaining to watch. And again, even if the writing is kind of bad, but I'll get to that. Uh, Helena Matson plays the blonde. She is a hitman out to also get the mask. Helena Matson is not an actress that a lot of people would probably recognize. I recognize her because she's been in a Steven Seagal film, Code of Honor. Uh, she was in she was in Seven Psychopaths for a little bit. Uh, she's in a lot of direct-to-video action stuff. Um, I've seen her in some show. I can't remember what it was, but she's also one of the highlights. She's pretty fun as this character. She's always got these two pistols, and she's always quoting Edgar Allan Poe. She's quoting Annabelle Lee and The Raven throughout, and I think she was cast well. She's beautiful. She's stunning in this movie. She's still stunning, and she's about 41, I think. She looks amazing. Uh, she has a very nice voice. I won't say she's super threatening, but for the type of movie this is, she's cast well, and I think they don't make her do anything too ridiculous in fight scenes she has, but mostly it's just she walks up to somebody, shoots them. But Gary Oldman plays Elvis. He's the leader of this group of Elvis impersonators that are trying to steal his mask. Gary Oldman is quite frankly wasted in this film. He doesn't get to do anything. He barely talks. He's on screen maybe 5 minutes. Uh, Dane Cook plays Sheriff Hutchins. He's a sheriff owned by the Native American side, and there's a sheriff owned by the Chiefs side. Uh, Dane Cook barely also gets to do anything. None of his signature comedy is in this. A lot of people hate his comedy. I think some of his comedy is funny. Megan Park plays Cindy, the girl next door. She's fine. She's kind of just a bubbly airhead. Powers Booth plays the rancher. Um, Powers Booth, another actor in this. He should have been in it more, but he's again another highlight. Um, Sam Trammell plays Sheriff Cowley. I think this guy was on True Blood. I didn't watch True Blood. He was okay. Chris Kattan plays gay Elvis. Sure. The I- weirdly, he's the one that's not super stereotyped. He just kind of acts a little like gay. That's about it. But Chris Kattan is not an actor I'm a big fan of. I've never been a big fan of him on SNL. His stuff I usually skipped, but he's okay here. Jeff Fahey plays the cowboy, another assassin out to get the mask. He's there, but his acting is fine. Uh, Tony Cox plays little person Elvis or midget Elvis. They have a running joke about that, and I'll get to that. He's okay. He's Tony Cox. He does his thing. Anthony Brandon plays Asian Elvis, who's just the Elvis that's constantly talking about stereotypes and breaking them, which, like, okay. The main issue I have with this film is the writing. The writing is fucking terrible. The comedy is mostly like here's a couple of the running jokes you have in this. You have the main character constantly being asked where the mask is and he doesn't know where it is because he's just a normal dude. Um there's the next door neighbor girl saying you're my Uncle John, um and that they're next door neighbors and he constantly has to correct her. There's him calling little person Elvis midget Elvis and being corrected about that multiple times. There's this random fucking college guy that keeps that keeps like appearing for no reason other than he's like uh the stalking Cindy, the girl next door. Um and oh yeah, Dane Cook's character keeps saying no, the other sheriff keeps saying Indian and Dane Cook keeps telling him Native American. It's and I've seen people refer to this as like a Tarantino wannabe. I I venture to say that's a bit too good for this movie's writing because the writing in this movie is like it's legitimately like a child wrote it. Like, no, it's actually this. Like, most of the comedy is correcting people. Like, they say something wrong and then they get corrected on it. Oh, little person, not midget. Oh, Native American, not Indian. Oh, uh, I'm not your neighbor. I'm just in your neighbor's apartment. Like, what? Like, I don't I don't understand it at all. It's very weird. It is just like not good writing at all. I'm surprised this has a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm very surprised by that because the writing here is legitimately worse than like Steven Seagal's later movies, where most of his character is the same thing over and over again. It's ex Special Forces, ex CIA, ex FBI, ex KFC, all this shit, and it it it, it's just so hard to watch and listen to throughout this entire movie. And it's it made it hard to sit through. This movie is hard to sit through. I gave it a 5 out of 10 because there are some good things about this that I do legitimately think and I hold those. But overall, without those things, this movie would be like a 3 or a 2. This this is like bottom of the barrel writing. Worse than what you usually see in like a direct to video movie, but I just I don't know. I don't know what happened here. Uh, there's also th this cast has so many big names that are given almost nothing to do. So many, and some people will say, "Oh, they're not big names." Look in my face and tell me that one of the reviews said D-list actors. You look in my fucking face and tell me Gary Oldman and Christian Slater are D-list actors. What? Like maybe they're not at the top of their game right now, but these guys were huge. Like Christian Slater, Gary Oldman, everybody knew who the fuck they were. Maybe not Jeff Fahey, but Jeff Fahey's been in enough like really well-known films to still be counted as a star. Even if he does kind of just randomly show up in movies nowadays, kind of like Christian Slater and Gary Oldman do. But they're not D-list stars. I don't believe in this whole like, oh, your star fades or whatever. You're just in movies and then you have a big break. Everybody has it. Everybody has their low points. Even Julia Roberts has her low points. Mary Riley being one of them. But anyways, a lot of the names in this cast that people would probably want to see more of in the film are not in it that much. Powers Booth, prominent character actor of the 90s. Jeff Fahey, another one. Uh, Gary Oldman, prominently on the poster, probably in about 5, 6 minutes of the movie at most. And again, Jeff Fahey and Powers Booth do good work, but I understand what this movie is trying to do. It's trying to do like a 3,000 Miles to Graceland thing where you have a bunch of stars in it. And it also has to do with a bunch of Elvis impersonators. I should probably try watching that movie sometime. Kurt Russell's in it, and Kevin Costner. I love Kurt Russell. And it also has to do with a heist. But yeah, it just feels like a big wasted opportunity to have all these actors here. Just what it feels like for paycheck roles, because Gary Oldman again does barely anything. So big disappointment there. Um, the action also wherever it is, there isn't a lot of action. The most you get for like a shootout in this is a bit around the middle to the end where Helena Matson shoots at the midget guy, uh, which is not very exciting. There's some really bad CG blood. Most of the blood squibs are practical, but for some reason on Tony Hawk's, they don't have an actual blood squib. And I guess it's because he's a little person. Maybe there's a weird thing about that because again they're smaller and probably don't have as much blood, so maybe that's a bit of an issue. Well, I'm speaking as if they're actually shooting them. Maybe there's a weird thing about people of a certain size not being able to use blood squibs. Maybe. I've never seen them get shot in another movie, so I guess that's what it is. But the blood squib looks fucking awful, or the CG blood spurt looks awful. The rest of the blood squibs look good, but yeah. The action in this is kind of meh. There's a fight scene between Helen Matson and the Indian guy later, and he's literally called the Indian, so. But yeah, uh, that fight scene's kind of meh. So even if you're here for the action, it's really meh. There are some good things about it, though. Again, the Christian Slater, Powers Booth, Helena Matson, and Jeff Fahey. Best things about the film, even though Booth and uh, Fahey are barely in it. Helena Matson, Christian Slater, yeah, I think they knew what type of movie they were in. They were doing good work, even with the kind of meh dialogue they're given. The score by Jeff Cardoni, which is a name I recognize, but I don't know from what, was great. The film looked pretty alright given the direct-to-video status and movies of that time not usually looking that good. For the most part, it's shot pretty well. There's some nice shots of the desert. And again, the premise. The premise is kind of cool, even though it does remind me of 3,000 Miles to Graceland or whatever. Um, it is still a sound premise. But overall, this film is just kind of just boring, bland. A lot of people said the story went by really well. I really disagree, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, it's just kind of a whatever movie for me. But yeah, that was my review of Girls, Guns, and Gambling. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, and movie reviewer next door out.